Here's a sneak peek at the PS6. Is the big PS5 showcase canceled? Here's why you should be excited for the PSVR2. And also down in the description, I have a ton of links to controllers, SSDs, TVs, monitors, headsets, any accessory you need for your PS5. I have a link for it down in the description. So if you want to help me out, use those links. And joining me to talk about all of this today is my buddy Ray Trevino, who just recorded our 2-host Xbox video. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I had a good time. Lots to cover. So if you want the exact same thing we're going to do right here, just the Xbox version, go ahead and check it out. Why not?
So a website called Protect Your Bubble tried to use AI to generate a PlayStation 6, and it looks like vaguely like a PlayStation, like I would guess. If you put in a bunch of images of a PlayStation 5, a PlayStation 3, a PlayStation 2, and just kind of mashed them all together and made a rough concept of what a video game console looks like, that's kind of what this AI produced. But as we found out from our friend Matt, who makes a ton of AI images, basically you can refine these, like whittle them down, and he was actually able to make a much cooler looking PS6.
Yeah, when you compare the two, it's like, nah, this is a miss. The PS6 on this one, it's like the logo is like
Kind of looks like a Walkman.
kind of like, yeah, it kind of looks like someone took their finger and like smudged the painting or something on the logo.
Yeah, and the controller has like 5 D-pads.
It like doesn't make sense. Like, where would the disc go in? I don't know. Yeah. So at first glance, it's like, whoa, a freaking computer program made this image. That's impressive. And then, yeah, our buddy just like totally blew us away with his AI skills that he picked up over the course of a few days.
Yeah, so it looks like what the AI did is it took the design of the PS4 Slim and or Pro and then combined it with the white look of the PlayStation 5 to create a new sort of slimmed down version of the PS5. And obviously, if you scrutinize it, you can see a few flaws in there, like the fact that the controller's D-pad is like an octagon. That's not great, but the controller looks like a really cool mix of a DualShock 4 and a DualSense, which I could see happening in the future just because I like a lot of the features of the DualSense, but I've seen a lot of people saying they miss the actual shape and feel of the DualShock 4. I've seen so many people say that's the best controller ever, and kind of hard to disagree. I also love the blue backlighting, you know, that seems very Sony, very official, but most importantly, the PlayStation logos on this thing are correct, you know?
It seems to me like the trackpad was given paramount importance when it comes to this AI's priorities on the controller. The trackpad on this is massive, almost like it's a touchscreen in and of itself. Like you could project images onto that, almost like, dare I say it, like a Wii U situation.
So yeah, if you think stuff like this is cool, obviously everything is linked in the description to make your own AI generated stuff. But for now, it looks like we're going to have a few years to wait for AI to be designing our game consoles. Next up, let's talk about something real, the PSVR2. Sony just put out a new trailer called, like, what's it called? Feel a New Real. Don't like that. Sony just put out a new trailer titled Feel a New Real, and it kind of highlights all the reasons you should be excited for the PSVR 2, but I have researched the hell out of this thing, so I'll just tell you without you even watching the trailer. Are you excited for the PSVR 2?
I'm excited for the PSVR 2, and I'm excited about experiencing, you know, games I may have played already, but from a VR perspective. No Man's Sky, I was excited to see in this trailer that they showed off. My buddy has a Quest, and I was thinking about getting a Quest for myself, but I'm like, no, I'd much rather get the PSVR 2.
The Quest 2 was really good for a long time. They are releasing like a pro version of the Quest that leaked. Someone left the box in the trash can of their hotel room, like a packaged box for this VR headset. I also have heard rumors that Valve is working on their own Quest competitor, like a standalone headset, which if that uses their knuckle controllers, that's going to be the one to beat because those controllers are so sick. The PSVR is sitting in a very happy middle ground. Honestly, the biggest criticism point from everyone who's used it is the fact that it's tethered still when you've got competitors like the Oculus Quest 2 that don't need to be tethered to a computer. The difference is if you want to get the graphics level of the PSVR 2, you have to plug in your Oculus Quest to your PC, your gaming PC, that is, to get anywhere close. So I don't really think that's a fair criticism. The coolest thing that I think the PSVR 2 is doing to keep frame rates up is this thing called foveated rendering, where it uses eye tracking to know where you're looking in a game, and it renders that stuff at full resolution and full quality, but stuff outside of where you're looking is rendered at a lower resolution, so that takes a lot of the workload off of the headset headset and the PlayStation 5, which is how you're going to keep those frame rates up. Because if you're in VR and the frame rate drops below 60 or 90 or whatever it's set to, that's what makes you feel motion sick.
What I was excited about personally, as someone who wears glasses, is the guy who reviewed it on the Australian team. They went hands-on with the PSVR2. He did mention that he was like, I wear glasses and it was super comfortable wearing the headset at the same time I was wearing my glasses.
Yeah, you need to like order something for the Oculus Quest 2, like a little attachment.
It's like an expander or something like that. Yeah. So that was very encouraging to me. That was one of my big hangups about the Quest.
Yeah, and the PSVR 1, I feel like people bought and then didn't use because it was like a whole thing to get going. Obviously, you had to have your camera set up. You needed your Move controllers with their batteries charged to have those lights working on there. You also needed the like way station in between the PS4 and the headset. There are a lot more cables. So people really stopped using it pretty soon after launch. But this thing is basically plug and play because it has the inside out tracking, the cameras on the actual headset. That makes it so easy to just get it going because you put the headset on, you plug it into the USB port in your PS5, and then you draw a line around your room with the controller and you're good to go. You're just ready to play VR.
So what's the return that Sony is expecting on this thing? Are they expecting it to like disrupt the entire gaming industry and like make a ton of money right off the bat? Like how focused are they on PSVR 2?
They're obviously very committed to it because they made a second one and it looks like they're putting a lot of effort into getting like first party games going. Like they even bought a couple of VR studios for this, which is good. I think that they're not necessarily trying to be the best VR headset because they know that they're like competing with the, Valve Index, which still uses really cool way stations to have like super accurate tracking. And also the Sense controllers are more in line with what you get on the Oculus, which is good. It's just not as good as the Knuckle controllers, but I think it's really going to be determined by the price where this thing sits. So if it's like $350 again, $400, that is like in the upper end of VR when you're looking at the Quest 2, but it doesn't really compare to the $1,000 you'll spend on a Valve headset. So it's probably going for mid-grade, I would say.
And I'm sure a lot of you out there would also agree with that. They're basically just giving you the opportunity of like, you love the PS5, you love playing games on the PS5. What if you can play those PS5 games in VR? And that's a cool enough concept, I feel like, to get people on board as is.
So yeah, the PSVR 2 is really shaping up to be something cool. I hope we get it sooner rather than later because I'm sick of seeing trailers about it and not having a release date. Next up, we got to talk about being hacked because 2K really dropped the ball on this one.
Gosh, this hacking stuff with 2K, with GTA, just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Like every passing day, there is some wild new bit of information like, oh, we got these GTA 6 leaks. Oh, he has the source code. Oh, he's trying to blackmail Rockstar. Oh, 2K, a bunch of their customers' info has gotten leaked. What? You got to reset your password.
So initially I was thinking this could be a Rockstar thing, like with Grand Theft Auto Online or Red Dead Online, because those are 2K games or Take-Two games technically. But Rockstar has their own thing, the Social Club, and it looks like that wasn't hacked. This is more for 2K23. If you just bought that game, because I guess it just came out and it's huge on PS5, you have to go change your password. They have a help desk that they use for customer service complaints, and that was illegally hacked, and a lot of people's passwords got leaked out, which is awesome.
Why are we in this world where in order to play a game, you got to sign up for an account? That was the same thing when Multiversus dropped. It was like you fire up the game and it's like, oh, I can't wait to play as LeBron James and beat the crap out of Bugs Bunny. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait, you got to sign up for a WB Games account. And it's like, seriously? And then on the console itself, it pulls up the freaking internet browser, which is like, hold on, I'm like, God, what is the point of this? And yeah, to your point, it's like you sign up for these freaking accounts and then they get hacked. Like, what is going? They can't secure their own servers and your data. And then before you know it, you think you're just playing a game and then someone's like opening up a loan in your name or something.
Yeah, but speaking of lying and hacking, this is weird. We could talk about the big showcase now because as it turns out, a lot of the leaks about stuff like Metal Gear Solid remake, Silent Hills remake, stuff being announced soon, they're coming from a YouTuber who was just lying. Yes, the Twitter account, The Real Insider, which we have talked about on this channel multiple times, turned out to be a YouTuber named Dan Allen. with like almost 200,000 subs, so it was pretty big, and he was getting stuff talked about early to him, like the Assassin's Creed event, and then he would go on the Insider Twitter and just leak it. But he was also lying. So he lied about Metal Gear, he lied about Silent Hill, he's lied about some other stuff, and a lot of the things he's been lying about, people were using as evidence to support a new showcase. So now the only true evidence we have of this showcase happening is the fact that Final Fantasy 16 is supposedly going to be shown off in a big way in a couple weeks, and that's really when people are like, oh, okay, Final Fantasy 16, PS5 exclusive. Square Enix already had their big showcase at TGS, so that could line up really well with a Sony showcase. Such a stupid rabbit hole.
We don't know Dan Allen, but it just seems so silly because his content was good, and I was really enjoying his series with John Marston's voice actor when they were playing Red Dead.
Oh, I don't even know who this guy is.
And man, like, it just seems so wild that, you know, he would have this alt account leaking this information that it's not like he was making money off of it or anything. Like, it was just for the likes and the retweet. Even if like some of the things that people are throwing around have been quote unquote lies, we're not going to see them at this showcase or whatever.
He did make a lot of educated guesses that ended up being correct, though.
Yeah,
which is funny.
I would imagine that they would have some sort of event to show off, like you said, maybe Final Fantasy 16, to at least give a time window for the release of the PSVR 2 or the DualSense Edge. Not a firm release date, but like spring 2023 or like summer 2023, something like that. I can imagine them doing.
Last of Us multiplayer game.
Yeah, obviously they would. What do you think they would do it before Ragnarok?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like sometimes,
because that showcase they just had, the State of Play, that was definitely for Tokyo Game Show, right? Like, that's why it focused on Japanese developers. They wanted to get that out before Tokyo Game Show. Now Tokyo Game Show is like almost over. It seems like you got to get something going with a showcase because they have some big games they haven't announced yet for next year.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, and they haven't been pleased with the state of plays, minus last one, right? Because that was pretty awesome with Ronin and Ragnarok. And
yeah, it's kind of mid for me, but like there was some good stuff. Yeah, there's big standouts, right? Like that God of War trailer was amazing. Ronin looks sweet.
Yeah, I mean, do you think they would do like just another state of play? Like,
no, it's got to
be a blowout. You think, like, a full on showcase?
Because they've done one around this time every year so far. Like 2020, they did one around September. 2021, they did one around September. It's 2022. We're in September.
We're at the end of September.
Week. I'm going out of town in a couple weeks, and just by like my luck, that's usually when big things happen. So I'm going to go ahead and say if it is going to happen, it's going to be the first week of October because I'm going to be out of town.
Of course. That's how it always works out. It's like, well, nothing's happening. Then you leave, and then it's like, oh, the biggest PlayStation news. Jimmy, you got to do a video.
Yeah, and Push Square kind of put out an article where they were like speculating if it is even happening this year, and they came down on yes, it probably will happen, just because like it's happened the past couple of years, and I tend to agree with them. If that State of Play was more like worldwide focused and didn't just have God of War at the end, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. This could take the place of a showcase. But the fact that it focused on Japanese games, and a lot of their biggest Japanese games weren't even in the showcase or in the State of Play, that's weird. That's suspicious.
Sussy.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to see at the showcase?
Anything I want to see at the showcase? You know, I'm a simple man. If I saw some like co-op Spider-Man gameplay, that would be insane.
Yeah.
Probably that is like a long shot.
I'm still not convinced that whole game's going to be co-op. I'm thinking it's going to be more like, you know, Ghost of Tsushima, where there's an extra game mode that's like a new little story where you can play it co-op and do like raids or missions or something. Because that's the new trend in gaming, is raid style gameplay. Because of Escape from Tarkov being so big, everyone wants these extraction based modes. And I just read on this awesome website that just launched, Insider Gaming, it's like the big leakers who you can actually trust made a website together. And they're the ones who leaked the new PS5 that we just talked about, where it's going to have the disc drive. They were talking about how Warzone 2 is basically built on this DMZ mode that's coming to Modern Warfare 2, which is like you go in and it's PvEVP and you have an objective and you have to get out. So I could see something like that working out with Spider-Man, where it's like you can play as Spider-Man, someone can be Miles Morales Spider-Man, someone can be Venom, and you're all doing one mission, like running through a big skyscraper and fighting the Rhino at the end or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Yuri Lowenthal. He was just such a huge part of why I enjoyed the first Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
It was a shame that, he was relegated to this kind of, he was on vacation in the Miles Morales game. So I would love to kind of see him maybe come out sort of like Troy Baker did when he came out and he talked about the Last of Us series. And I would love to see him return and get to talk about the game a little bit, because he was just breaking my heart in that first game, especially towards the end when you're fighting Doc Ock and everything's revealed with Aunt May. I was like, oh man, he was just killing it. I just want to see more of him, because I've been a lifelong fan of him ever since I was watching freaking Naruto on Toonami, and he was Sasuke, and gosh, I'm a huge fan, so I'd love to see him at the showcase kind of doing a little bit.
The best thing is about Spider-Man Remastered on PC that people have modded in the original Peter Parker. So you can get all the remastered graphics with the original Peter Parker, who doesn't look like Tom Holland for some reason.